All right, we are live. There is a game tomorrow. We are one sleep away from an actual Texans game. The week in West Virginia, we talked about it being an important week of practice. It ended up being that, maybe for some reasons that we weren't expecting, to say the very least. So you had that. You had the big news off Thursday, which the news cycle, like in that 90-minute period, like one we haven't seen in a while. And it all centered around one position, which we'll get to in a sec. On the soup, Logan says, do you think we see CJ week 1 according to a report? I don't know. And let's just get into this. Do you think we see CJ per the week 1 report? So the CJ Gardner-Johnson news cycle was such. You see a guy carted off the field, and we were there, and you automatically, appropriately assume, okay, this must be something extremely serious. It doesn't look good. The team's reaction, they almost become numb to it, but it doesn't look like something great for CJ Gardner-Johnson. And then came the initial report that his ACL was torn. And then the reports after that it wasn't torn, and the confirmation that it wasn't torn with further testing. And now week 1's being thrown out there. I mean, it's not bad for the Texans. The fact that that's being put out there, and it seems like a accepted fact that the ACL isn't torn. So that seems good. But am I going to predict that he plays in a few weeks against the Rams? No. I don't. I mean, I think the point of the report is probably that he's closer to playing week 1 than he is missing the season. So I think it kind of just speaks to the news cycle, which we talked about on SNL. But we'll see whether he plays or not. If they don't, though, then what is the Gardner-Johnson backup plan for we won't put a timetable on it, but for when he's off the field? I've heard some scenarios thrown out, like, moving Petrie back to safety, or going and getting Simmons, or what's some other ones? Move Jalen Smith inside. Like, I've heard a lot of suggestions. And I think it's being overthought, regardless of how long and how short it is. And we've been talking about this. I think it's a plug and play position. I think they can find a way to hold it down with someone they like. MJ Stewart is the guy that always comes up. They seem to like him. And he has some absolute dogs around him in the secondary and in front of him. So it's kind of a position where you can plug and play when you need to. Eric Murray played some good ball for them. Do we look at Eric Murray? Do we think that perhaps Jacksonville overpaid Eric Murray? Perhaps. But he was a solid backup, and he did a good job holding it down. And I think they think that about MJ Stewart. I don't know when Jalen Reed is coming back. It's been said that maybe before the season. Who knows? But he's another guy. And Russ Yeast, who had an interception probably like 10 minutes after in the scrimmage, after Gardner-Johnson went down, he's been pretty nasty. I don't know how he pairs up with, the other guys, because he's not getting very many first team reps. But the point I'm saying is, I think that whether it's finding a safety or just holding it down till Gardner-Johnson can go, I think it's fine. I think they have a good plan. I don't think they're going to do anything too crazy, and I think they can play at a decent level. Dietology on the soup. Is any wide receiver doing anything of note, or Nico only? Nico really doesn't light it up in practice. He didn't last year, and he didn't this year. The guy who's really, really doing well for himself, and it was actually one of my West Virginia takeaways. I have biggest West Virginia takes, and it was going to be number 2. I think Hutchinson is wide receiver 5 at least, and you see him get some reps with the ones. I think Hutchinson has taken a big next step to where maybe he can be one of those top 5 guys. Am I going to sit here and say that you want him being your second best guy. I think that would have to be taken by Noel or Higgins, one of the rookies. But I think Hutchinson is doing everything they like. So I would say that. And then the rookies, yeah, in stretches, you'll see, Noel and Higgins at different times. So we'll see what happens when they put it all together. Then we had, after the CJ Gardner-Johnson news cycle, it is the locker room. Been a long few days in West Virginia, to say the least. Plane ride from hell. After that, like in the same moment, the same 10, 15 minutes, we hear that Jimmie Ward gets arrested days before his court date. Now, I guess he's claiming via his lawyer to Aaron that he didn't know that he couldn't drink, which it looks like that's why he was arrested. He had the previous thing and then he didn't know. But it just seems like a guy that DeMeco Ryans, in a perfect world, this guy's a part of his football team start to finish. I think that's a fact. I also think Jimmie Ward is a really good player. He's a really good reserve player. He's an underrated, he's very good nickel. He's highly rated. He was in the NFL 100 the year before he got here from playing nickel. Did a good job with Petrie. But he's someone who can contribute to your squad. I think DeMeco wants to probably keep him around. It's just, if they were going to let it play out before, which is what they said, this is not a way to reward them standing by you like that. This is just a bad thing altogether. Whether it's a miscommunication, it's not a good headline to get. And I think he probably knows that. So I think it kind of changes. I don't know that we see Jimmie Ward this year, but I know it's going to be tough for DeMeco because they've been together since San Francisco days. So I've put together, and that's the safety drama. They were sprinkle in an AR-15, scary moment / injury, and then sprinkle in what happened with Kenyon Green. And you got that whole entire news cycle amidst a final day in WV. Then we go to the biggest West Virginia takes. The biggest West Virginia takes. I have 5. Number 1 is I think that fourth-year guys have a chance at impact. I think that you look at Christian Harris and you look at Dameon Pierce, who are both in the final year of their non-first-round rookie deal. I think you look at these guys and you look at this team and you think it's a good team, but the ceiling that these guys have, and it might not be that high if you don't think. If you're not that high on them as players, but the ceiling that they have is it's possibly impactful. If Dameon Pierce, let's just say this is the perfect system. Let's say all the system people, the people who thought that the old system, the slow system was bad for him. Let's say that was the case. Let's say that was a big part of it. What if this one fits? He could be a contributing piece, and then you have the Mixon situation. He looks like he's in shape. So he has that. And then Christian Harris, one of your best defensive players 2 years ago, plays a position DeMeco Ryans knows pretty well. Can he stay healthy and can he be on the field? It's not, it's not like he's never shown it. It's not just all potential. We did witness a nice stretch by Christian Harris. So I think that does need to be taken into account. Is that something you're going to rely on? No, but here's the good news. You have enough talent on defense to where you don't have to rely on it. So if you do have that type of an impact player sprinkled in with what they have on paper and what we've seen and have to go off of a camp, that's a scary thought. That's a scary, scary thought. Thought 2 is I think Hutchinson is wide receiver 5 at least. We headed into the season. We wondered if Watson was going to going to be that. It seems like they like what Hutchinson's doing, and I don't know how they would separate the rookies, but it seems like they like what Hutchinson is doing, and they should. Looks like he's improved. So that's thought number 2. Thought number 3 is I think Juice Scruggs' ops are alive. It started out in mini camp, and it started out early in camp where it was third team at best. He's slowly gone up, and I don't want to just credit an injury because it was happening before you could see it. You could see he was getting more second team reps, and then he was even in consideration to get in there and get first team reps as they moved Howard back. I think his opportunities are live. I think he's got a decent shot of being one of the top 9, as D'Amico said, because you can tell that they trust him more for whatever reason. Number 4, Blake Fisher outlook is proportional to fans. There were fans that maybe were a little bit skeptical about what Blake Fisher would be, and it seems like, I mean, when Cam Robinson misses a practice and they moved Titus Howard back to tackle, which was what they said they didn't want to do. Like, we heard it all. And that was a better option than the second round pick out of Notre Dame that they drafted when they had 2 tackles that they liked. That's a tough outlook. If they don't trust him to go in there. So I think the outlook is proportional to some of the frustration. And we're just kind of witnessing it. So not great. Number 5, I think luck is on the Texans side. They've had these injuries and you automatically assume the worst, but Cam Robinson's out there walking around after. Then Christian Harris and Dameon Pierce, 2 guys that we didn't know when we'd see them. They kind of show up at the perfect time to add a little bit of life to camp. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens as their role intensifies. But like, sometimes camps can get dead. If you ever cover a training camp, like, it can get dead. You can just kind of be like, damn, I'm ready for this thing to be over. And it's going to be more of the same. There's a lot of developing storylines on this team, on the back end of the roster, whether it's short-term, long-term. Then you have the other question marks, and the other question marks are smaller. So I think that the Texans are in good shape for sure. And they've stayed relatively healthy so far. But it always happens. I mean, it always happens. Like, sometimes it's just as simple as, did this guy get hurt? That's it. Like, that's how weird football can be. It can be as simple as, well, this guy got hurt. And it can be, and you guys know, because y'all watch the Texans closely, if they lose, then sometimes it can be something as little as, well, the center, the fourth receiver, like Steven Sims fumbles. So like, it's always like a small thing. It's always something small. And it does seem like they got a little bit of luck. I know the Gardner-Johnson, that was regarded as not great. And then the report came out and it was almost like, I think that's why it hit hard, because you were just waiting for that news to come out. So we'll see how they handle that. I don't know that they're not. I think they wanted to get a look at these 2 guys that were on the PUP list, because, and I'm talking about Pierce. Pierce was on the PUP list, and then Harris was there. I think that they're getting an intense look at them to see how much they can contribute. I think it's going good. That's really all I got. Y'all know it's been a hell of a long day. We did not have a place to. We drove 4 hours through the mountains yesterday. Then they canceled the flight because the lady got hit, and then our flight got in today at like 7. So, been hanging out with the wife and daughter and sleeping a little bit, but we'll got a game tomorrow. So we'll talk about that afterwards. I'm going to get some rest. I appreciate everyone for rolling through. Subscribe, like, right along. Let me know if there's anything else that you think or take away from West Virginia. And let me know if you think that Dameon Pierce can turn it up a notch, or Christian Harris. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker